Thanks for joining us today for this Thursday afternoon program. I'm Dylan Ryder from the Johnson County Library. We have the privilege to be joined by Karen Sillens from A+ Career and Resume, who will be talking about internet job searching. Some quick information about our presenter. Karen Sillens is a multi-certified and award-winning career and business coach. Karen provides resume writing, career and executive coaching, and small business coaching to clients in Kansas City and throughout the U.S. and Canada. Karen has held a membership in the prestigious Forbes Coaches Council since 2016, was chosen as one of 38 career experts to watch in 2018 on Twitter, and is rated as a top social media influencer for employment, human resources, and recruitment on Alliance. She resides in Kansas City, Missouri with her husband Andrew and their 4 rescue dogs. Feel free to add your comments and questions to participate in our discussion. Karen will attempt to address each question at different points throughout the presentation. The contents of this program will be recorded for future viewing. Once again, thank you all, and here's Karen.
Hi, everybody. I just want to let you know that just in case I maybe glisten a little bit today, we are getting our air conditioner put in, a new air conditioner put in, so right now there's no AC, except in one room, and it was way too noisy to take the computer in there. So I'm in my regular spot today. Another thing to know is that this program is not to sell you anything. This program is to provide information for you that you can actually, right after this program, go use. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. As a career coach and as a resume writer, and even when I coach businesses, I'm constantly asked, is LinkedIn necessary? Yes, it is. And here's why. Most people will look for you on LinkedIn. Even if they don't have one, they'll see if you have a profile. But just look at the percentage of recruiters that use it, 94%. And that would be containing headhunters and recruiters. So there's the headhunters, they're called contingency recruiters, and they only get paid if you secure the job. 2, there's retained search firms. And they are the type of people that they're going to actually have a client that needs an employee, and they're going to hook you up with them potentially for an interview. And usually they get about 1/3 of your annual salary for that. The other thing is the traditional recruiter that we see within a company. They're actually employed by the company for which you want to work. And that is also a large group that uses this. So that is kind of taken in all those different recruiter groups. So that's just about anybody who would look you up for a job. That's a huge amount of people. So if you think 94% of companies are looking you up, and that's 2019 statistics, that's a pretty large group. Then you see the next thing that talks about LinkedIn is popular with employers, given the primary focus of professional networking. And Jobcast did a survey, and they did it through the Aberdeen group, and that's a big group in our industry that does a ton of research. And they found that well over 93%, so it's a similar number, and again, this is around 2019 numbers, use LinkedIn. Why not balance out what you have as far as your personal branding and all the different information that you're going to have available to a potential company, especially when LinkedIn can be personalized and tweaked, so you don't have to show just everything to somebody who's just going there. That's going to give you a lot of power in how you feel about too much information being out there. But if somebody links to you, they can have access to it. And that's the nice thing about it. And it even says there's 73% of millennials found their job through social media, with the primary sources being LinkedIn and Twitter. That's a large number of people that are finding their jobs through social media. It doesn't mean that they may not go apply through the job site on the company website, but it's still, that's a big group that's finding that information. Now, if you are struggling and you're saying, I've never been on LinkedIn, don't have a LinkedIn account, I'm going to give you some information you may be able to bring up on your computer right now. If you go to Google and you type in Karen Sillens LinkedIn, so Karen, K-A-R-E-N, Sillens, S as in Sam, I-L-I, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, LinkedIn. the first thing that comes up is my LinkedIn profile, then a bunch of the articles and all that kind of stuff. But you want the profile. Now you can see what a lot of times people can see if your whole profile is public. And I have a very complete profile on there. Now you'll get to see a lot of information. And so it will make more sense to you as we talk about different sections. The first thing I talk about in LinkedIn for anybody is their picture. What is the very first thing they're going to see? Well, they're either going to see a shadow avatar, which is nothing, or they're going to see you. And how do you want to be represented? You want a head and shoulder shot. No full body, no strange, pictures, nothing that you're trying to be cutesy with. You want a traditional head and shoulder shot, but it doesn't mean a professional has to take it. And that's the nice thing. You can actually have somebody else take that picture. Smile in the picture. Boy, there are a lot of grouchy looking people on LinkedIn. And you never want to look like you're mad at the world or you're trying to be serious, because it never comes off quite right. The only person who could make that come off right is a highly professional photographer. And a lot of people don't want to spend the money for that kind of headshot. And I can understand that. Avoid the shadow avatar. Avoid selfies. Selfies are terrible. Nobody looks good in selfies. There's that Sprint commercial on TV where a person is taking a picture of themselves and it's like this thing. That's how most people look in their selfies. Even with the long bar with the camera and the phone on the end of it, it still doesn't look very good. And a lot of times when you're taking those selfies, you're not taking them in front of an appropriate background. No photos of people that you cut out. It's like, ooh, there's me, but there's somebody's hand over me or whatever. It needs to be just you. Use a recent photo. I had a client, God bless him, and he was my web designer for a while too. He had a picture that was 25 years old of him. Well, that's how people would remember me. Well, they'll remember your name because your name is unusual and you can be you. So I got him to finally update. Use an appropriate background and lighting. A lot of pictures seem very dark. And the reason they seem very dark is because there's no real lighting around them. It's kind of mottled lighting, or you've got it on dimmer switch or something like that. You want really good lighting so people can see your face. You don't want it to be overly bright. And you also want to make sure that, maybe there's some light coming from the front and above and possibly even below. That's sometimes a professional photographer, but every once in a while you look out. We took a picture of our friend with his smartphone at our church in front of a really nice picture and wall, and it looks great. It's just the room is very well lit. It's from above, but it's very well lit. And I was really surprised because those are fluorescent lights. That should have been a terrible picture, but it wasn't. Another thing is think about your background as something that's unique, but you might fade it out a little bit. So interesting bookcases that have neat things in them. When the COVID thing hit, I couldn't really advise my clients to go hang out at the furniture store and get their picture taken in front of one of the really cool bookcases. But now that's starting to come back, and at some point you'll be able to look at that, or you may have one at your house. Same thing with nice pictures. Mine is in front of a set of really interesting windows from another library branch here in town. Another thing that you can do is interesting tile or brickwork. One of my best clients' pictures ever is in front of all things, bathroom tile at their workplace. And it looks terrific. You would never know. But you need to have also a decent camera, either on your phone that people are taking pictures of you with, or a real camera. And that way you can take probably about 10 head and shoulder shots, smiling in them. And remember, you can smile with just your mouth. If you don't like your teeth, just smile with your mouth. You don't have to show teeth, but you do want to smile. And take enough of those pictures and look through them. Which ones strike you as, even if you don't really like pictures of yourself, and men are particularly that way, you'll typically find something that you like enough and you go, yeah, I think that's okay. And if everybody else who's looked at it with you that has a good eye for photography goes, yeah, I think that's a good picture, that's the picture you go with. Fully fill out your intro section. It used to be, and I mean up until last week, that you only had 100 characters you could play with in the intro section. But for whatever reason, LinkedIn has decided to lengthen that. I have not tried them out yet to see how far I can go, though I've gotten up to about 140 characters or so, which would be similar to what an old Twitter tweet would be like. So I give you some samples here, just a couple of examples of things that you can put in there. Now, the one says Senior Project Manager. That denotes a job title. Then it has PMP, Lean Six Sigma, different things in there that are important. Same with example 2. Sometimes what you want to put in there are keywords and key phrases that may not have an exact job title to them. For instance, if you are unemployed, you're not going to have an exact job title to go to. But if you know you're looking for sales, you can definitely put sales professional up there right away. Or if you're looking for a sales management role, but you don't know if it'll be account management or what they're going to call it, put sales manager up there. Just keep it as simple as possible, and then put your other keywords and key phrases with it. Pick the best industry for yourself. I'm going to put it out there. LinkedIn does not have a great list of industries, but even though their industry list is not great, they will have something that applies. So do your best and make sure it's towards where you're going. Unless you're currently working and you're changing careers, you don't want to alert your current employer. Then you'll have to use whatever you're in currently. Identify your city, the state, and at least a general area like Kansas City, Missouri. So the background picture is something that I just kind of list at the top, but there's a picture behind the picture. And if you're on my profile right now, or if you're on your own profile, on my profile, you'll see a butterfly behind my picture. And that butterfly is there in order for me to represent, rebirth of your career, that kind of stuff. And I go for nature photos. That's my thing. However, that doesn't mean that's what you have to have. Here's the different types of things my clients use besides nature. They use cityscapes or city landmarks. They use word clouds. They use more of the kind of amorphous type pictures where there's nothing specific in there, but it's kind of interesting. It's a nice color. It's just something different. Or they use something related to their actual field. For instance, I had a mechanical engineer. We just put a picture of robotic engineering in the background behind him. So that's the kind of stuff that you want. It's really your choice at what you like the best. And you're only going to be able to see a certain portion of it. If you notice and you don't have a picture behind that right now of your regular picture, your personal picture, you're going to see that it looks kind of like a turquoise thing with a, for lack of a better word, almost like a zodiac thing in the sky. What you want to do is change that out. And it's very easy to change out. And each section of your profile, when you're in your own personal profile, will have a little pencil. And that little pencil, you click on it and you can change things in that area, which is really nice. Next, summary, employment, and education sections. The problem with these sections is people don't fill them out. One of our targets is to be what's called an all-star. An all-star profile has filled out certain sections. You have a picture, you have at least a couple of jobs on there, you have your education filled in, you have a summary, think that about me type section is what a summary is. And maybe a couple of other little areas like the skills section, perhaps you gave a couple of endorsements. Now chances are you get to be an all-star profile. That means you come up more in searches on LinkedIn. That's hugely helpful to you if you're searching for a job. Plus, the more filled out your profile is within reason, the more they're going to think you really take your career seriously. So first, let's talk about the summary section. Think of it as kind of like your cover letter. It tells a little story. You could have a paragraph and some bullet points. You could just have a couple paragraphs. You could have just all bullet points. It doesn't matter. But as long as you have a bit about you, definitive maybe and soft skills wrapped into that, now you have a much more effective set of information for people to look at. Now, some of my clients who get specifically just LinkedIn profiles from me, What they look for in that is the ability to communicate information about themselves, but also about the company they're currently working for. This often happens in sales, and that is just fine to do if you want to also help market your company. Usually those are more specialized profiles. And so you'll want to gauge in between how much of my personal do I want to mention and how much of my company that I work for do I want to mention. The about us or / summary section would be more about you, but still have things about your company in it. And then the section under your company would be a lot more about your company. And you'd want to talk about the things that they can deliver as far as services and products and all that kind of stuff, and what you do for them specifically. The employment section is real important. I can't tell you how often I go to somebody who's invited me to link to them on LinkedIn. I don't know them. They don't have anything, or they just have their most current job and they never did anything with it. That's a very bad idea. First of all, people like me, chances are, will not link to you. I am not suffering for contacts on LinkedIn. I have closing in now on 13,000 contacts. I have been on it since 2004, 2005. I think LinkedIn came out first in 2002 or so, but you kind of let it stay around a little bit, see if it's really going to fly. Then I have never paid on LinkedIn, and I don't advise you to either. For me, and this is just my personal opinion, if you're going to pay on LinkedIn to be able to just send emails to anybody and everybody, that's kind of like spamming. I have gotten all of those contacts, all those connections without ever paying. So anybody can do it. And I target. I don't just send all generic invitations. People invite me, all that kind of stuff. So there's a mix of things going on in how I get people, and people, of course, that I know or meet along the way. So in your employment section, don't just list your job. Include some information. Information from your resume can often be very impactful. And one of the things I advise people, if you're using bullet points, and I think that's more effective than a paragraph, business owners can use paragraphs because people are reading for a different reason. But for a job seeker, I would stick to the bullet points. Put a space in between each one. It just makes it a bit more readable to the reader. And it only takes up, quote unquote, one space extra out of the 2,000 characters you have under each job. That's a lot of space to fill in. Think job description stuff if you don't have a resume, but link it to how you do the things. Don't talk about, and you don't have to use personal pronouns. In fact, you should not, unless you're writing it from a I'm working for the company perspective as far as advertising it. You're going to instead kind of have that little short blurb or several bullet points that are about what you do based on the job description when you can't think of anything else. Because sometimes we really struggle when we write our resumes. What do we think of? What do we put out there? And there is on the JOCO website a resume and cover writing seminar that I've done. And that can be very helpful in you targeting some information and how you're going to actually write your resume, but also it'll help you in writing your own bullet points for your LinkedIn profile. Next, think keywords and key phrases in that section too. So if you talk about business development in the section above, or project management, or administrative professional, or whatever you want to say above about your work, then it should be reflective of that within the contents of your employment. Now, every job won't necessarily relate, but the jobs that do need to have those kind of keywords and key phrases in it. And some jobs have keywords and key phrases that kind of run the gamut. Project management has become a very common term. It used to just apply to IT and construction, and that was it. Now it applies to everything. Everybody's a project manager. So if you do project management in other jobs, then you can cite that in there. If instead we're talking about customer service, and that's your customer service manager, you might mention client service. You might get another keyword or key phrase in there. Keep to the 2000s. Let's not visit 1990, okay? I know that, we may have been working since then, I have, but we don't want to visit that if we don't have to. Because what that does is it dates us. Think about it. The year 2000 is 20 years ago. That's a long time and a lot of information to have. So for a trained eye who is looking to discriminate against you because of age, that puts you at the 40-year mark or so. Well, now we can avoid them thinking that we're any older than that if we don't visit the 90s. And sometimes those jobs, people go, well, I want to put that job on there or whatever. Well, usually once you start putting dates and things with your other LinkedIn jobs, guess what? You can't just not put them with the other one. So it's all or nothing there. It's okay if they don't know about that job right now. You can cite something about it in your interview. Then include month year to month year. Don't make them guess how long you worked there, because a lot of times people like to put things like, well, it's 2017 to 2018, but they only worked for them for 4 days. I see this more than you would think. Some people, it's the whole 2 years. Some people, it's a year and a half. Some people, it's just 2 months. But you're kind of lying is what you're doing if you give them the impression that you've worked for them for 2 years and you really only worked for them for a few days. Next, include the city and state you worked in specifically, not what they're in, where you're working from. So there are some jobs that are remote. And yes, the company may be located in Madison, Wisconsin, but you're working for it out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's what you put. You can add projects and things. It's really nice. They have a feature where you can add extra stuff. And if you're looking at mine, you'll see I've put 1 TV and 1 radio interview on there that were fairly recent. That's very helpful to you. So if you have a project or something that you can share, a PowerPoint. Now remember, it can't give away company secrets, and you need the approval of the company unless you genericize a lot of stuff to put it on there. Unless this is to advertise the company, then they may not care. But make sure that you do your due diligence and you don't get in trouble with what you're putting on to your LinkedIn. But interviews, PowerPoints, presentations, published work, things like that, a lot of times those would be more internal. You can put some of that on here as long as the company's fine with it. And then when you type in your company name, a lot of you will find there's logos that come up with it and maybe several different names that are similar. If your company's on there, let's just use St. Luke's Hospital. St. Luke's Hospital Group here in Kansas City will be on there. Well, use their logo. Why would you not? That's just a smart thing to do. And for people who are looking specifically for St. Luke's Hospital employees or targeting something about St. Luke's, you could come up in that search and you never know what that's going to mean for you. Now our education. That can be a full degree or just a place you attended. So people go, oh, I didn't get my degree. I can't possibly put that on there. Hey, if you were there for at least a semester, congratulations, you're an alumni and you're probably getting calls asking for money. And I am not complaining about that. I'm just saying that's how colleges and universities operate these days. So if you got a degree, be specific about it. Include the degree, and please don't just make up what you think it is. Go look at the degree. What does it say? My clients regularly give me stuff and that's not the actual degree name. So Bachelor of Science, you can put B period, S period. Business Administration, comma, emphasis in marketing. But it needs to say that on your degree, and then on one of your transcripts, it needs to say that you emphasized in marketing somewhere. If not, then you're lying. So don't put something on there that's going to make you look bad. Don't say you have a degree when you don't. It's just fine to say, pursued 2 semesters towards Bachelor of Science Engineering. There's no shame in not graduating from college. Welcome to most people. As I've already given as a number on here, 28.4% of the population is all that has a 4-year degree. That's the census numbers, and that will only go up a little bit. And that's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Most people go to college, major in beer and pizza, and they're gone after the first semester or 2. And again, that's not a problem either. It's just don't tell them something that's not true, because it's one of the easiest things for them to look up. And yet it's the #1 thing people will lie about. Even 10 years down the road, just like the Yahoo CEO from a few years ago that they found out had lied and said he had a degree, he had to quit. You see this pretty regularly in the news that somebody at a major organization that was in a high-level job lied about having a degree. You don't need to do that. Or as a gubernatorial candidate did in recent years. Instead of the degree in home economics they said they had a degree in economics. Don't be that person. Sometimes you don't pursue a degree. You just go and get your general studies coursework. So we can have, the Associate of Arts, General Studies, or we can pursue two semesters of General Studies coursework. You still get that college or university experience in there, but you don't lie to them and say, yes, I was pursuing a law degree. You don't tell them something that's not true. You can include honors. I have them on mine, student organizations and awards. Cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude are all lowercase. If you're going to do it properly, do it properly. Don't put the C or the M or the S as an uppercase letter. And so you can list those if you have them. And I believe it's about 3.5 to 3.7 or 3.75 is cum laude. It's 3.7 or 3.75 to like 3.95 or something is magna cum laude, and then a summa cum laude, I believe, is 4.0. Clubs and organizations that are student specific. Many of us joined things that were student organizations. We couldn't afford to purchase in as a regular member, but they had student memberships, $30 a year, and of course we took advantage of that. And that includes Panhellenic, which means the Greek organization. Do not hide the fact that you are a Greek, because it could be the thing that connects with the other person reading it that gives you a job. They could say, oh, I was one of those. You never know where that's going to come up. Skills section. A lot of people don't fill this out, or they put like 3 generic things in there, or they put 1 word in there, and then some other people make some suggestions and they just automatically populate it with it. No, this should be thought out. Keywords and key phrases are specific to industry, job type, job title, and industry-related acronyms. You have 50 keywords and key phrases that can be utilized. That doesn't mean you have to fill it up with 50. I don't sit there and fill my client stuff with 50 of them all the time. Some people, more than appropriate. Some people just get, say, 22 of them, because that is what's appropriate where they are right now in their career. So don't feel like you have to fill the 50 up. Stick with specific position and industry-related terms, not generic. No, just Microsoft Office. Put in there Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Project. Those are more important to say that you know those. And knowing Microsoft Excel does not mean I can hit the sum key. Microsoft Excel means I can at least do complicated formulas. Now, if you can do pivots and macros, well, let me tell you, pivot tables and macros means you use it pretty well. So you can definitely have it in there. Avoid the general skills. Time management, problem solver, dependable. Not really appropriate for this. Instead, look at that list below and just think, okay, this might be, say, a sales manager. Business development, sales management, key account management, employee training, negotiation, pricing, client retention, sales strategy. Those are specific to the skills that that person has, combined with things that people would go looking for. They're not going to look for you through LinkedIn and go, I want somebody that's good at time management. They're going to go, I want somebody who can do business development, or I want somebody who's an administrative assistant, or I want somebody who is a sales manager, or a project manager, or a business analyst, or a financial analyst. Give them what they need to see, not just general terms. So, recommendations and endorsements. Recommendations are always preferred. I can't even begin to emphasize how much that is preferred. Endorsements are fine, and they come through your skills section. What people will do is they'll look at your skills and they'll endorse you for one. Anyone and everyone can endorse you for a skill, okay? People who've never worked with you, people who don't know you, people from across the pond, it doesn't matter. They're going to potentially endorse you, and that's okay. Preferably, you'd love it to be people who have worked with you, but that won't always happen. Recommendations, though, should always be people that worked with you. Now, work, don't just think of employment. Also think of volunteerism and professional associations where you served on a board or you did a lot of work with this person over time. They can attest to what you're like to work with. I have clients who have a mix of things. They have colleagues and bosses from their current and prior jobs, and then they have one from a volunteer gig, and then they have another one from a person who was the board president while they were the vice president. That all works. It should be a person, though, who can directly attest to what you did. And guess what? It can definitely be anybody who used your services as a business professional. A lot of people say, well, I want a Google review. I want a Google review. You can have them both. They can leave one for you, maybe change just a few words on LinkedIn, put another one on Google. That is an awesome way to use these type of reviews for yourself. But they can also be separate. I have some that are on LinkedIn. They aren't on Google, and ones that are on Google that aren't on LinkedIn. The actual endorsements are a little less impactful. An endorsement can be left, again, by anyone. A recommendation you have to approve, or you ask for it specifically. Approve a new keyword or key phrase from an endorsement only when you know it's industry specific, job specific, something that people would be wanting to see and search. And only if it's specialized to what you do, not just in general, but you actually have that skill. And don't expect recommendations and endorsements if you don't give them. I have clients who are like, well, I'm not comfortable writing them. They get the following look from me of, I don't care. And here's why. If you're going to want people to say good things about you, you better be willing to do it for them too. Well, it's hard to write them. Guess what? I give my clients a cheat sheet just for their contacts. They can use it too. And it's very simple. Think of different things that people would do in a job that would be impressive. Reduce costs, always a popular one. Somebody who tracks inventory. Somebody who can write well. Get specific. You don't have to have a 4-paragraph recommendation on LinkedIn. It can just be a paragraph or two. But you want to say why they're good at what they do, not just that they're great and you should hire them or they're just so wonderful. No, none of that. That's a generic recommendation. It doesn't say anything. Get a recommendation that tells somebody something. Volunteer experience. Give them real volunteer experience, not monetary donations. And volunteer experience is a job. People will say, oh, but it wasn't really like a big deal. And it's why they don't include it on their resume, and it's why they don't include it on LinkedIn. Even once a year, though, can be something that's impactful, especially when it's fairly recent. I tell people, please keep your volunteer work overall to kind of the last 5 to 7 years. And when I say give real volunteer work, I mean where you actually went and dug in your hands and did stuff. So you can use non-work board memberships, committee memberships, because those are typically unpaid, of course, and you're still helping the organization, and a lot of times that means a monthly meeting, and sometimes more than that. It can be a once-a-year participation. So some examples are Bikers for Babies, Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Walk. My husband every year does the Fight for Air Climb through the American Lung Association. All of those are once-a-year things. But if you are an active participant in them, that counts. It can't just be I gave them some money, which don't get me wrong, that's definitely helpful and they need it. But you actually actively participated in it. And corporate things, a lot of people participate in the corporate challenge, or their corporation goes over to Harvesters and does a packing of a bunch of meals for people. That is a wonderful facility. It's a huge deal here in Kansas City. And if you share that, it's a good looking thing. It's a little feather in your cap. And again, it's not necessarily something you do more than once a year. And you would give, say, 2018 through 2019 for that. You don't need to say June of 2018 and July of 2019. You don't need to do that. But you do want to give them enough information so they know you did it and that it was fairly recent. Some of the organizations you work with have multiple participations within them. And that just means because of the board membership or because you're just highly active, you go and do things for them on a regular basis. That is something you can also include. Now, I tell people, say no to political, period. Just don't put it on there. People find any reason in the whole wide world to get upset about things, and this, just no. Hot button issues and religious organizations, acronyms are delightful. They don't know what they are, and the thing is, don't put in, if the acronym is how everybody knows it, then we probably should avoid it so we don't create the potential of them thinking we're going to come to work and talk about stuff and not do our work and advocate for that instead and all that kind of stuff. However, if they don't know it, doesn't hurt them. I go to Calvary Lutheran Church. It is on a resume for my husband as CLC. They don't know what it is. And for some reason, once you're in an interview and they find it out, they don't care if they even ask. A lot of times, don't even ask. But if you tell them on the resume or on your LinkedIn, oh gosh, you're going to come talk about Jesus or whatever, just let's avoid that altogether. So acronym, the name of the organization, and now you don't have to worry about it. Unless it's an acronym everybody knows, you're good to go. So there's a lot of different things that we do within these organizations that are important. One of the big things is being involved in anything financial. And as I have told people before, I'm involved in the Parish Administration Council at our church, which is a fancy name for financial, facilities, and marketing. That's really what that's about. If you want to name it something, name the committee the Finance and Facilities Committee or something like that, and talk about you're on the Marketing and Communications Committee. That is the way to handle it. Now, they have no idea. They just know you're involved in something and it sounds like it's important. You're not giving away things that you don't want to give away. Usually, again, if this happens to come up in the interview, for some reason, it's not a problem in there usually, unless the person in front of you, somehow gets a frowny face. But most people, they just don't care. There's something about having it on the resume or having it on your LinkedIn full name there, things that people already know about, that sometimes can create a problem. We just want to be careful. There's enough stuff going on today. People do not need to add to it. And if in doubt, then you might just leave it off. Another thing is certifications, honors, and awards in organizations. There's a ton of stuff that's on there in what's called an accomplishment section. And so I even have that, certification, accomplishment, so you can kind of get the feel of lots of different things that they would look for. A certification, though, be very careful, is a set of letters that you can put after your name. It's not a certificate of completion. If you went to college or university and got a certificate in something, it's not a certification. Doesn't make it any less important. We just include it under education instead as a certificate of whatever it is. But certifications involve testing and usually are very expensive. And they have things like PMP, which is Project Management Professional, Certified Sales Executive, CPA, that's certified tax professional, essentially, and certified financial planner. There are bazillions of these out there, but you have to make sure that it actually says, it doesn't say this certifies they took it. It says this certifies that on this date, essentially, this person has become a certified whatever. Make sure that if you say you have a certification, that it really is one, because people have gotten in trouble for this. And that if it's something that you have to renew, that you tell them if it's current or it's not current. For instance, very simply, a certification that a lot of people can use is that they have the advanced life saving. or that they have the basic life saving. That's actually certification. You get a little card and everything. Well, you know that that's every 2 or 3 years you have to renew it. So you can put it on there, but if it's non-current, that's what you put. Honors and awards really run the gamut, and most of us have none, okay? Don't think, oh gosh, I have no awards to put on mine. Most people have 0. But some companies like Sprint love to give out awards. Sprint Excellence Awards are all over the place. People have them. That's something that's of merit. And sometimes it's a team award, sometimes it's an individual award. But people get Employee of the Month. People get President's Club. There's all kinds of different things that companies will sometimes do. Don't hide them. And if they have a strange name that you kind of go, I don't think I want to put that name out there. Who named it the Daffy Duck Award? Then you put the DD Award. You can explain it in the interview, but at least you've got information about the award on it. And with that, you can put what the award was for. You know, great customer service, whatever. And I know that it's kind of hard sometimes for people to take that seriously in their head, but an award is an award. And usually that means either a customer, a boss, or a colleague has recommended you for that. Organizations area is for professional organizations that you are currently or very recently have been a member of. Some people don't keep up every membership because price goes up too much, or it was great to be a part of it, but now you don't have time to go to the meetings here in town, that kind of stuff. But if you do belong to organizations that are professional, and that would be something like PMI, which is the Project Management Institute, or any of the other myriad of organizations that are here in the Kansas City area and across the nation, why not? Why not let them know that you belong? And it doesn't matter if it's identified, like I have a client, I just put him in, Black Engineers of America. It doesn't matter if it identifies a color for a person. Put it in there and be proud of it. It's a good thing, and it's a good thing to show you are involved beyond, again, going home and watching TV at night. Another thing is a language. People in America tend not to speak foreign languages, or they took it in high school. So we can't say because we took it in high school 30 years ago that we can now speak it fluently unless we speak it every day. But let's say we do use it. So I had, of all people, at the orthodontist's office, the gal who was cleaning my teeth, she did clean the teeth and do all that kind of stuff across Europe as a young person and speaks nearly flawless German. And she still keeps it up to this day. She has people that she knows that speak German that she can talk to. And they have native proficiency in it. So she can put that on there. We don't need to put English. That's assumed in America that overall you can speak English. However, for any foreign language, please define your ability appropriately. I know German, a little German. I can say things like, wo ist das Flughafen, which is where's the airport. That is not enough to put anything on a resume or on LinkedIn. So you do not see the words German and light conversational on there or something. Only put stuff on there that's legitimately spoken. The one thing that's kind of an exception is when you speak it specific to your industry. And this is very common for people who are in medicine, law enforcement, and the military. And they speak it for that kind of arena. I have a client, he speaks medical Spanish. That's what he speaks. And he said, get me outside of that. And if it's not Cafe Por Favor, I don't know. So define what it is and be correct about it. Because the last thing you want is what one of my clients does when people come in and say they speak Spanish, and they'll say they speak it fluently, and he's about to start speaking to you in Spanish. And he said, most people can't answer me back and have no idea what I'm saying. Publications. Give the article name. Usually publications means I have a published work, such as a physician who publishes in a professional journal or somebody in academia. But this could also just be a person who, because they belong to a particular organization like the Association of Administrative Professionals, that they actually publish something in there. Give the name. Sometimes it's an article or a blog post. That can be okay as well. And you want the actual title, particularly the month and year. You know, sometimes people are like, okay, I have the particular page and all this kind of stuff. If you've got that, great. If you don't worry about it. At least month or year, they can go find it. And any other identifying information for people to locate it, just in case they really want to. And please give the name of the publication, or else they'll have no idea where to find it. And it can be authored or co-authored. Many professional publications have 4, 5, 6, 7 authors to them. That's just fine. You know, these high-level academic and science and medical papers have a lot of authors usually. Put everybody on there. Don't pretend it's you if it's everybody. Next, presentations. Give the presentation title. And if you didn't really have one, make up a nice one for it. The organization you presented it to or co-presented it to, and you could include details on the number in the audience if that's impressive. If it's only 10 people, you may not say anything. But if it was to an audience of 200 people, most people hate public speaking and they think, oh gosh, kill me now, I don't want to do this. Well, if you're the person who went out there and spoke to 200 people, God bless you and put it down. Let them know it was 200 because that's an impressive number of people. Another thing is information you developed. A lot of people for a presentation will develop or co-develop PowerPoints. They will give participants handouts. They'll provide different screenshots and things. Talk about what else you prepared for that particular presentation. And if it's a course that you taught, then you may want to talk about it from the standpoint, because a lot of people are adjunct professors. Put it under employment experience. An adjunct professor is a job. So you put that under there and you talk about the curriculum you had impact on or lesson plans or whatever. Just as if it was something that you were doing, it was kind of a freebie and you were just helping out and it was a course you taught. Well, then you can put it under presentations, but make sure that you identify if you did curriculum development for it. And also if you did anything that had to do with the lesson plans, because they're not always the same. Everybody thinks, oh, lesson plans are in a curriculum. Not always. And then also any other handouts and extra stuff you did for that class. Projects and patents. All right. A lot of my clients go, I didn't have anything to do with that. And then I start interviewing them and I realize they worked on a ton of projects and 2 patents. They didn't, well, it didn't have my name on it. You still worked on it. So we can talk about it. It should be work related or somewhere in the periphery. Identify if others were involved and the organization it was developed for and the year. It's okay if your name's not always on it. I had a client who, for a very large organization, everyone on this seminar will know the name of, did all of their robotics. That organization was kind enough to, they didn't put his name on it for all the patents, but they wrote a letter with the list of the patents and they said he's directly responsible for creating every one of these. If you get into a situation, this is just some free advice, at a company where you're helping out with something like that that's a patent, and they won't put your name on the patent, which usually they won't. Sometimes companies surprise me, but usually they won't. Ask them if they will write a letter and detail your involvement, so you can always have that. Another thing are courses that you actually attended. So work related again, or in the periphery, identify the course name, the organization from which you took the course. Sometimes the lynda.com and stuff, I just wish they wouldn't have named it lynda.com. If it stood for something, it was all capital letters and it was an acronym, that'd be one thing. I don't know that it really is. But if you took something really good from it, I don't know if I'd ignore it, at least on your LinkedIn. Plus, they have a connection with lynda.com. Groups, jobs, following people, and organizations. Join applicable groups to you. But I would be careful with all of the bigger international groups. You wind up getting all kinds of weird spam and crazy things in there. I like to target more local groups where you can network, see additional jobs in the area that have been advertised and ask questions of people. or specific professional organizations like the American Management Association, Human Capital Institute, HR.com, SHRM, APICS, you name it. Those places often have their own group, and they may have 22,000 members, but they've got a certain amount that are active and have expertise and will share. Sign up for job alerts on LinkedIn. If you're actively looking for a job, you don't have to put, and please never put, open to new opportunities, looking for new work. Don't put that on there. Put the keywords up there. But then you can actively sign up for job alerts. The last thing you want to do is advertise too much that you're looking for work, because it looks desperate. And it eliminates some potential for you to put keywords and key phrases on there, because you're taking space up with the open for a new opportunity stuff. Now, following people and organizations. Interesting people that you like, good information that you find from them online, particularly targeting those you work for or have worked for or want to work for. My engineering client, one of the recent ones, he's targeted several companies he would love to work for. Now he sees the articles, the press releases, and all the information that they put out. If he goes on an interview with one of those companies, that's one of the things he's going to mention to him, something of interest that they've put out recently. This can also include your university/college alma mater. There's nothing wrong with having a membership to the alma mater online. I know you may not have the traditional alma mater membership that you pay for, but you can still belong to the online group, unless it says for some reason for the paid members only. Be a participant, not an observer. Share great news from your company. Invite people to an event. Share an article. Publicly congratulate a colleague on a promotion or accomplishment. Share an inspirational quote. And congratulate connections on work anniversaries, new jobs, and the other things that they share online that you get in your notifications on a regular basis. Do this and watch yourself grow people who want to connect with you in a pretty easy manner. People who share information look like they care. And not only do they look like they care, but people who share good information look like somebody someone else wants to be connected with. And a lot of times you'll see your information reshared then. Build those connections. Here's something that's so hard for people to get past. I have to know every connection or I can't connect with them. That's not true. If you know every connection that you're connecting with, those are the people on your phone. You just call them. LinkedIn is of no good to you. It's of no use without you actually using it to find other people that you want to either, one, work for, get to know, or in some way be linked to. This doesn't mean you go spam every stranger that you can find to connect with them. But there's a purpose to it, and you want to connect as part of a platform of people that maybe share similar interests, the industry, that kind of stuff. Think 6 degrees of separation, which I did find out that apparently Kevin Bacon, who was the primary person mentioned in that, hates being part of that. I don't know why. It's a mention, and it's not a negative one, but apparently he doesn't like it. Invite or accept invites for quality of contact, completeness of profile, and use LinkedIn to find those you've lost touch with over time. Many of you would love to get a recommendation from somebody that you've worked with in the past. One of the best places to find them, on LinkedIn. They may just be on there. Now you reconnect with them, and the first thing you do is you do not go and ask them if they will give you a recommendation. How's the family? What's going on? I see you're working at blah, blah, blah. Tell me more about that. Be interested in them. Let them be interested in you. Then you can broach the subject of what. Don't be fooled ever by those you hear that tell you in order to have success on LinkedIn, you must have 500 connections. I had a young gal at a seminar one time up in Clay Como here in Kansas City area crying in front of me about this. She was like, and they told me I had to have 500 and I don't know that many people. That's overwhelming. Don't listen to that nonsense. You may at some point get over 500, but I'd rather you have 100 connections you wanted to be connected with, that you feel comfortable with, then you go try to find, 800 people to connect with. start with 30. That's the first number you start with. And even LinkedIn will tell you that. They'll go, let's get to 30. Let's get you to 30. And there's a reason for that. They do it because that unlocks a certain amount of detail for you to see. When you first belong to LinkedIn, what you'll see is you're starting to grow, but you haven't gotten to the 30 count yet, is a lot of people's names will be Joe S., Lauren P. It won't be their actual full name. Once you get to 30, you get to see a whole lot more names and a potential of connections to you. Next, go for 50, then 100. 100, you get a ton of stuff that you can see for free on there. Lots of people you can invite to link with you. And then if you get to 500, that's great. But at 100, you have a pretty robust group, and it looks good to others viewing your profile that you've taken the time to build your connections like that. You can access a lot of free information on LinkedIn without ever, and I mean without ever paying and without having 500 connections. I have clients who never get more than like 10 or 15 connections, and they still wound up with a job through LinkedIn. I would prefer they at least get to the 30. Check your LinkedIn several times a week. Doesn't matter whether you're job seeking, you're a business owner, or you're currently working. If you don't use it, you lose it. Be active on a consistent basis. If you want LinkedIn to work for you, you have to work your LinkedIn, period. There are no exceptions to this. This is how all social media works. Just 10 to 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week will be sufficient. Don't make this, oh gosh, I have to go on there and do this. You know, if you're only on there a couple times a week for 15 minutes at a time, it doesn't seem quite so overwhelming now. Build connections. Stay up to date with your profile. Proactively manage your career, business, or job search through that particular venue. If you're sharing information, if you're doing things on a consistent basis on there that can be very quick and easy to do, you will find LinkedIn will work well for you. So now the job boards. If you're job searching, or you're going to be job searching, there's a quote here, and it talks about how, you know, people like to put their stuff out there on the internet into the job boards, and magically they're going to get a job. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. And that quote's actually from, I think, 2001 or 2002. Even back then, people were just like, it goes on Monster and I magically have a job. It's problematic for multiple reasons also to post your resume onto Monster, Indeed, Career Builder, or any of these venues. First of all, I've had multiple clients every year for years now who have had their identity stolen by having their stuff on these venues. Sign up for job alerts. Do not post your resume on those sites. They are hacked constantly. And sometimes that hacking is done in a legal way. An entity pretends to be a real company so they can get access to the resumes on there and say that they're hiring somebody. So now they get access to tons and tons and tons and tons of information. Think about it. Your resume is giving them a ton of information. On LinkedIn, you can choose on another page where it says personalize your URL and how your LinkedIn is seen. It'll be over on the right-hand side. You can get your name on LinkedIn, which is always nice, or some form of it. And then you can also tell people what you do or don't want them to see in your public profile. You don't get this chance if you post your stuff on Monster or Indeed or whatever. Whatever people can hack through to, or whoever's looking to hire can see everything. So now, your name, potentially your address, at least probably where you live, your phone number, your work history. Guess what? They're going to know where you live, most likely from that. It's got to be on there. So now you've just given away a whole lot of information. Don't give away all that information. Use the job alerts. And besides, a lot of times when people post a resume like that, they just get a whole bunch of crappy jobs that don't have anything to do with what they actually want to target. You can take it off, or you can have them take it off. And I know that they have people working for them to do that, because at a seminar just a few years ago, a young man showed up who had just moved here from India, and his job for Career Builder was taking people's profiles off and their resumes off so they could just use the search. Your current employer could be on there, and if you're job seeking and they don't know it, you could get fired. And I know many a company who goes a searching for you. Don't think that's not happening, okay? Don't have it on there. And then there's reverse spamming. Well, I only joined on Indeed and Monster. But your resume's on 250 other sites because they have something called reciprocal linking. So what they do is they actually have you connected with all these other sites because we have with them. And it'll privacy policy. We are going to share your information with all these other places, and it's international and all this kind of stuff. Do you really want your stuff all over like that? Probably not. So go get it taken off. Ask them to take it off the complimentary websites too. Send notification to them because it's just an email for them. And then the last thing is to check your search results. Search yourself on a regular basis over Google and see what you can find. If you see your stuff come up like the client I told, don't put your resume on Monster, and she did, and literally a week later in her return, she's like, oh my God, I show up on the top of the second page, my resume, it says my name and the word resume. And I said, how'd that happen? Well, I put my resume on Monster. Just say no. When should you be posting? This is a very interesting thing. They did a survey or a search recently utilizing, and this is essentially a huge group of resumes that they used, that they determined how they were getting viewed depending upon the time of day they were being posted to the company website. So like you're going to Burns & McDonnell, you're going to 3M, you're going to H&R Block, you're posting there. One of the things that they noticed is that people that seem to apply between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the company's time zone get far more interviews by phone. I would advise you to do your posting at that time. And this wasn't a sample of like 10 resumes. This was 1,700 resumes. And the bigger study did 8,000 plus resumes as to whether recruiters preferred 1 or 2+ page resumes. Guess what? Like 7,000 of them preferred the 2+ page. So that whole 1-page thing is a misnomer. But the big thing that I tell people about this is when you post in the morning, if you make it past the scanning system, chances are the person, and usually this is like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday thing, not Monday morning, because remember, they're just putting out fires. And Friday, they don't care. They're getting ready to go home for the weekend. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably somewhere around 10 or 11 a.m., they're going to see who's applied for these jobs. And chances are, because it's earlier in the day, they're probably in a decent mood, as opposed to looking at it at 4 p.m. when they can't wait to get out of there and they may be a little hangry because they're hungry and tired. At 11 a.m., chances are they've had a snack, they're drinking some water or some coffee, and they're on their job. They're doing their stuff. You get a better potential to move forward than you would have otherwise. And that's the important aspect here. You want that chance to move forward in the process. So you're going to put more people in the yes pile at 11 a.m. than they are at 4 p.m. So be the person who applies earlier. Another thing is when you post for your job, use the appropriate stuff. Most of the time it's going to be a Microsoft Word or something related to that, like an open office or whatever, that you can use to apply with. The reason we do this is because this is an actual true document. A PDF is technically almost like a picture. So a lot of sites, if you put a PDF on there, and they won't tell you usually, they can't read it, they can't scan it. So you've just spent all this time creating your resume, you put it in PDF, and you put it on there, and it doesn't work. You have no idea why you're not getting past the scanning systems. That may very well be the one thing that's keeping you from going through. Now, there are some companies who can read it. But unless they specifically say they want one or they can read them, please use a Microsoft Word one or a related technology. And in a serif font. What you are looking at in front of you is a serif font. It is Times New Roman. You don't have to use Times New Roman. You can use another serif font. But what serif means is there's little tags at the ends of the letters. So if you're looking at Microsoft Word, the M at the tops and the bottoms of the M, there's little tags on it. On the C, there's a little tag. On the R, on the S, on the F, and on the T. That's how these scanning systems read things more effectively. So if you use Arial, which is all rounded, there's no tags. It's called sans serif, and that's what it means, no tags. You want those little tags on the ends of things. It makes it more readable. Another thing is keywords and their utilization. They are exceptionally important. The only reason you're being scanned is for keywords. When you go through an applicant tracking system, or what they call an ATS, and you'll hear them called HRIS, HRMS, you'll hear Taleo and Unicrew and Brass Ring and Workday and Kronos and just all kinds of systems and Oracle and everything on there. They are all doing one thing. They're looking for keywords and key phrases in your resume. And everybody thinks, I'll just copy the ad into the bottom of it or something. No, the ad probably only has 5% or less of the keywords that are in their system. Most systems have 150 to 250 keywords and key phrases in there, sometimes pre-populated before HR or the hiring manager ever adds more. That's a lot of keywords and key phrases. And how do I know this? I work with people who set up those systems. I have access to them. I know what they look like. I know how resumes go through them. I know what shows up on the other end. I know that a whole bunch of questions pop out at them. I know all this stuff only because of my contacts in creating that information on there through HR or being the techie who sets it up. Be smart and look for things that are unique in that ad and add that information. Don't just rewrite your whole resume every time. That's just silliness. But instead, add that information that's keyword and key phrase heavy. That's going to help you. And make sure you actually have that particular key phrase or keyword in your skills. Another thing is using job board aggregators. And I make 2 recommendations here. Why go search Monster, Career Builder, Flipdog, Webbeat, whatever else is out there, because there's a bazillion of them out there, when you can do one and done. Indeed aggregates, meaning collects, all the information from those sites. Why? And yes, they act as a traditional job board too. You can purchase services on there. But why? I mean, why would you go and search all these other sites? If it's a specialty site, it may not collect it. But for the bigger ones, it absolutely has their information on it already. And sometimes you'll even see this originally came through Monster. Sign up for the alerts. Use, usually I'd say 3 job titles. So let's use administrative for that. Administrative assistant, office manager, administrative coordinator. Now you're going to get more jobs that come at you, and they'll send you a daily alert, sometimes 2, of new jobs that have come out that day. The job search is coming to you. You manage your time better instead of you going after the jobs and spending all your time looking all the time. And if you're targeting more than one thing, and many people are, do more than one search. Sales and sales management are 2 different searches. So do 2 different searches for that. Link Up has no relationship to LinkedIn. It is another aggregator, and it's part of the hidden job market. Company websites that have a job board, and most of them do, especially the larger companies, well, most of them don't require a password in order to access what jobs they're hiring for. Guess who can aggregate that? Link Up. And a lot of companies aren't going to pay that extra money just so they can advertise every single job on there. Burns & McDonnell advertises jobs all day long. They do not advertise them all on Indeed. They advertise them all on Twitter, but they don't advertise them all on Indeed. So those jobs that aren't advertised externally a lot of times, you can get through Link Up. So that's a nice additional alert to set up for yourself. Now the jobs are coming to you, and you can spend your time seeking things out on LinkedIn, going to specialized sites that could include Glassdoor and ZipRecruiter. Sometimes you'll get some differences in what you find on them. But now you're not just spending your time on tons of sites. Career exploration is another thing that the internet job search has got it going on. There are 4 sites I list here that you can type in and have fun with. ONET, it's not one T, it's ONET. ONET Center is specifically to help you define jobs that you would have interest in. And it gives you a lot of information in the summary. And you can search by an occupational code, which will be something like a 24.9873, something like that. Or you can search instead through a title. Marketing manager, boom, it'll show you a whole bunch, and one of them will be named marketing manager. And you click on that, and it'll show you this big summary of information. The one thing I want you to know about that is there's a little plus minus sign next to each of the sections as you look through different skills, abilities, knowledge that you need to have, tools you'll be using, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to click on the plus sign so you can get all of the list. That's going to be very handy. And sometimes that has some nice keywords and key phrases in it too. So now you get an idea if you're trying to figure out what you want to do in your next stage of life, what these jobs really require. Every one of my career coaching clients who's doing exploration and transition has to use this site. There's also a site called ACINet. There's jobprofiles.org, and there's Job Hunter's Bible, which is the What Color is My Parachute guide. So although Richard is no longer with us on this earth, he is still providing wonderful information through his family and his business partners. So that site is pretty well updated, and that book still comes out. Company research. First place you go, Glassdoor. Go to Glassdoor and do what's always an anonymous rating of your current company, of a past company. Be nice. Sometimes we're like, I don't like it here and they're evil. You can't put that they're the spawn of Satan on there. I know you may want to, can't do it. Instead, what you want to put on there is that you feel maybe that the pay is not commensurate with the work, or that the hours are a lot longer than they originally told you, something like that. Just be truthful about what you don't like. Don't go on there and criticize your current boss, stuff like that. Instead, you might say something to the effect of, and especially if this is true, management is not engaged with the employees. Keep it nice. That makes a huge difference in people respecting your view. So now when you give it a 2 out of 5, they figure there's a real reason for it, as opposed to, oh my gosh, you'll see some really interesting comments on it, especially because it's anonymous. But it's a great place to see, especially what mid-level people say about a company. Because let's face it, when you're only making $10.50 an hour, you're not that happy and you want to make more. So you may not say the nicest things on the site. The people who are the executives, well, they might know who I am. So naturally, I'm going to say wonderful things about this company. But the mid-level employees, the management that's at mid-level, the project managers, the business analysts, the financial analysts, the accountants, the marketing people, all of that, salespeople, chances are they're going to tell the truth. So that's what you pay attention to. Done, and once you leave that comment, you have access to everything. They have salary information on there about tons of companies. So what you can expect to be paid, so you can actually give a better salary range when you apply at that company. They also have information on there about different types of jobs and what they might require, what the interviewer did. So it's a really good site. Plus, it has jobs listed. Dun & Bradstreet and Hoover's. A lot of people recognize the word Hoover's from a long time ago. And that is because Dun & Bradstreet and Hoover's used to be 2 separate companies. Now, some of that's information you have to pay for, but they have a certain amount that's public. And, if you want to find out a little bit more about the company, it could be another place you spend time. Your local business journal. Oh my gosh. So if you don't already have a library card to your local library, please go get one. Because chances are through that library, whatever city you're near, the large city, the greater area, there's a business journal for it. And that business journal does one thing all day, every day. It covers business in the greater area. Who's moving to town? Who's leaving town? Who's hiring? Who's not going to be hiring but laying off? Who's merging? Who's acquiring? All that kind of stuff. Hugely informative. Also has networking opportunities usually listed at the end of it towards the back. And it's an every Friday publication. The things that you can get out of that are so impactful to your job search, because sometimes you'll see a great article about the company that you're most targeting. You get an interview with them, you can mention that recent article in there. And having a library membership means you can get access to it typically for free. That's the benefit. Sitting at your house, type in your little code, boom, go to the resources, and you can look at the business journal. And then Reference USA, also something provided through most libraries. And it's a nice set of information about companies too. Now, this is more of the general information that you would see about, you know, what did they make last year, if they've got that information, how many employees do they have, that kind of stuff. But still, it could be handy information to have. Online networking and social media. I apologize that I'm going just a teeny bit over. One, we had our technical blip. And two, this is a totally revised new seminar. So essentially, you're a guinea pig. I'm sorry, but you're getting this new seminar tried out. So first of all, remember that you are always networking. Whether you're at the grocery store or you're on Facebook, you're networking. How do you want people to perceive you? Because the internet and people who are treated poorly, they don't forget these things. My mother had a bad interaction with the Red Cross many, many moons before I was born, and she never forgot it. You know, that was a judgment that she had. She did not like the Red Cross till the day she died. I don't feel that way about the Red Cross, but she did. So people don't forget, and the internet doesn't forget. But there are things you can do where it's less likely to remember things. For instance, you're making Facebook posts you really shouldn't, Twitter posts you really shouldn't, politics, hot button issues, too much religion. It's not about saying you like Donald Trump or Joe Biden. That's fine. It's not, if somebody's not going to hire you for that, I'm pretty sure you don't want to work for them. But also getting into the same negatives about people who don't believe as you do, all of that kind of stuff, go back and delete them. Facebook and Twitter will still have them stored. But chances are over the next month or so, they won't show up anymore. And that's hugely advantageous to you. Another thing is that always networking from the standpoint of you never know who you're going to see at the grocery store. You never know who you're going to meet at a party. You know, I tell people you can actually network at, wait for it, online through a wedding now. How many people would have thought about that? Now there's online weddings, and it's a popular thing because people are quarantined in their house. What after a wedding, after a funeral, which unfortunately has also had to be online, if you're talking to some people and they don't know you very well, what's the first thing they ask? What do you do? There's your entry point. That's networking right there when you talk about what you do. So how effective is networking? Many jobs are found that way. Networking comes in many forms. So social networking, 73% of millennials, one of those first things I had up there, found their job through LinkedIn and Twitter, and that was through a social network. Whether it's professional or more personal, it's still, they found it through a social network. That word of mouth, I heard this company is hiring, is still networking. When you apply for that job and get that interview and get that job, you got that job through networking. I had a client write me yesterday. One of their mother's friends knows this person who knows another person, and they want me to write them. What do I write? So I wrote him back and told him, you know, how to do this, and I found out all the context of how this happened and everything, and I told him what to write and what to say, and what he was not going to say was, can you give me a job? It was much more subtle than that. Social networking sites, the four main ones right now are LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are the biggies. But that doesn't mean there aren't other sites. It's just everything that you have probably should be interconnected where it can be, and it should also be consistent. You want people to see consistency throughout about who you are. So you can link your social medias together to a certain extent because you can cross-post and things like that. It used to be LinkedIn and Twitter had some sort of marriage going on, and everything that went on Twitter went on LinkedIn and vice versa. That ended a few years ago. I would love for them to go back to that because it makes posting so much easier. What's online about you? Do a Google search. and do a Google search with your name, with your middle initial. I don't have to worry about it. I married right. I married a guy whose last name is really rare. And there were 3 Karen Sillens in the entire world. Now there's just 2. But I have a cousin, she went from Russell to Smith. Now sometimes what you'll be doing, ladies, if you have a maiden name and a married name, you may be typing both of those in. So I might type in Karen Russell Sillens. And then you'll type in Karen Sillens. Then you'll type in Karen M. Sillens. You know, type in different things to see what comes up. Now you're getting kind of a feel if somebody's doing something weird who has your same name. The person that died recently, I think some people may not have booked with me because they thought I died. When she had her funeral, that poor woman, you know, a lot of people commented, and it was a beautiful thing. But, you know, when you have the same name and there's not very many of you, people might think, oh gosh, is she still in business? I actually had a couple people call and they go, oh, I was looking you up and there's great information about you, but it looks like you died, which is kind of funny, but it really did happen. Another thing is do it right. Make sure that you're doing this probably at least once a month or once every other month, because if you don't type in several name incarnations, you may not get the full picture of who's out there and who's, you know, doing screwy stuff. And you want to know, do I need to concentrate on just having my name in one way out there? Say just my middle initial with my, you know, Karen M. Sillens, or do I need to make it Marie? What do I need to do with this to make it work for me? If you see, as 2 of my clients have, that a porn star has your same name, and one client who a child molester that was in the news at the time had his name, then you want to make sure that you differentiate yourself from them. And that's why you search multiple things. Sometimes you can just search your name with the company that you're associated with and see what comes up. Control your information, check it regularly, purchase your web name. I own KarenSillens.com and AndrewSillens.com. My husband and I don't do anything with them. We just own them. So other people can't take them and do goofy things with them. And you can do that for about, you know, $37 a year. Establish the best name for you. Like I said, is it going to have your middle initial? Is it just your name straight out? Does it have your married name and your maiden name in there? Really, really, really look at what people with your same name are doing in the first 2 to 3 pages. Most people don't go beyond the first page. Even fewer will go to the second, and very few will go to the third, and it's almost infinitesimal who will go past that. So what's on the first 3 pages? Use consistent information wherever you network. Make sure your name shows up overall the same way. Again, I have the blessing of not having to do that in totality. I can have my maiden name on some things because there's only 2 of us. And you can order background checks about yourself if you're curious if there's something out there. Rarely is there. You know, who cares if you got a traffic ticket in 2002? But if you're concerned, you can always run one. So what if there's erroneous or negative information about me online, you say? Usually because you put it there. So number 1, correct it. Sometimes it's just wrong. It has your name wrong. It has your address. It has really goofy things that just aren't correct on there. Go correct it. You'll be amazed how often you can do that. 2, make it go away. My client's resume, after she put her stuff on monster.com and that came back to haunt her, once she got it off of Monster, they took it off that site. Within the next week, it was gone. Deleted it. Lastly is push it beyond the 3rd page, because chances are no one's ever going to see it then. If you want to start your own blog, I absolutely applaud that. Keep it on the professional level. Even when you think, oh gosh, these influencers, you know, they talk the Kardashians or whatever. A lot of times they're talking about business. They're not talking about things that are outside of their purview. They're usually talking about business, or, you know, maybe Kim's talking about something to do with social justice, which is fine because she has a passion for that. But it's all about making sure that if they look you up, they only see certain things. You know, she wants to get away from, I'm sure, what she originally became famous for. So I'm not going to go into that, but it was not in my view, a positive thing. If we are showing our expertise instead as a business person or in our industry or the things we're pursuing that are industry or future industry related, we're going to make a bigger difference for ourselves. And keep it short. You don't have to do long blogs. If you want to do a 3-pager every once in a while, that's fine. But some of my stuff is just a couple paragraphs, and that's more than enough. Get your name out there, establish your brand, be professional, not personal. Don't get personal with things. If you go out there and you start saying, you're evil for doing this and all that kind of stuff, that doesn't help anyone. Allow people to comment, but I wouldn't allow them to comment on your blog. I'd allow them to comment on LinkedIn and Twitter and stuff. And here's why. There's a lot of spamming that goes on and people that want you to advertise their stuff for them and all of that kind of stuff. You're going to have more stuff you have to go through than you could possibly think of a lot of times. At least I have, and so have some of my colleagues. So instead, I would allow people to comment through the other venues you share it. And post consistently, at least once a month. Give away good advice. Don't give away everything. If you give away everything, there's no reason for people to use you. I have a lot of information that I've given away online, but it isn't everything, and it isn't like working with me. There's a whole lot more that goes into that, and it's much more interactive, of course. So I feel comfortable in what I'm sharing, but it does show a level of expertise. You can do that too. Any questions?
Yes, indeed. So we had a few come in during the great glitch of June 18, 2020. So I'm going to call those up real quick. Wonderful. So Deborah asks, she heard about it, or she heard that in the about section, it should be third person. Looking at yours, I believe we're speaking on LinkedIn. Looking at yours, is that the preferred way? And she also read on Indeed.com that only titles of jobs should be listed without any explanation, as that should be left for resume. Which way is preferred on LinkedIn?
Okay, so these are both LinkedIn, not on Indeed.
I believe so. And
okay. So
Deborah, feel free to clarify. Deborah.
So on the first question on LinkedIn, it can be either. I have clients who have preference, and I really don't argue with them on it as long as they're not compromising themselves by putting too much I, me, my in there. But if you've got a couple of personal pronouns in there, particularly my clients who want to write about how they do the business for the company that they work for, because they're trying to advertise that company, they want it on that more personal level, and I absolutely write it that way for them. For a lot of people, they want it kind of that third person. I'm actually for either, as long as where you're doing the I and the my, you eliminate too many of them. You know, you don't want every sentence having it in there and everything. So you're going to have to be a bit more creative with your writing.
Excellent. And Sandra asks, how do you go about asking for recommendations? And do you give a recommendation, then turn around and ask for one? It seems very awkward to do.
You could do both. Asking for recommendations is no different than asking for a recommendation letter. So these are people you've worked with in some capacity. They're a boss, a former boss, a colleague of some sort, or an employee. Usually if they're an employee, they're a former employee. They're people you volunteer with. They're people you work in professional organizations with. And you just tell them, now obviously you probably aren't going to go to your current job, go to your current boss and go, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can I have a recommendation? But you can go to other people who are from your past who you don't have to worry about them compromising your current job search and telling your current company. And especially people that have left your company and maybe, you know, we're glad to go. You can get them to write you good recommendations. And how you do this is you say, I'll write one for you too. It's as simple as that. Offer it in a trade. That will a lot of times get them to write one. And you could give them some guidance and say, I'd love for you to mention a specific project like this we worked on, or this paper, or whatever. Or, you know, we reduced this cost, or I did that, and you were part of that. Just give them something that's this definitive, that makes it more distinct.
Okay, and Deborah asks to follow up regarding experience, should titles only be listed on LinkedIn?
No. And I assume, are you talking about up at the top, or are you talking in the initial section? Or are you talking about where you put your job title in the job itself?
Deborah,
And I think I know where she may be going with this.
yeah, job titles, experience section.
Okay, so where it lets you put your job title. Usually the reason people ask me this question is one specific reason. My job title don't match what I do. Because if you look, I'm just going to say it, there's some companies here in town that their job titles are like, I'm the magic unicorn of something, and it doesn't make any sense to what you do. So if you want to, you could put the job title they gave you, put a slash mark, put what you really do. I'm okay with that, and as long as you don't think they're going to freak out about it, which usually they could care less, because you got the real job title on there, that's fine. Does that answer the question? Is that what she's looking for?
So far, so good. I think I'm waiting on confirmation here. Okay, job titles, experience section, list experiences. She adds to that.
Now, in experience, you actually give the things you've done for them. This is where they're like bullet points from your resume. And so whether they're numbers or names or whatever you're doing, you're giving definitive information about what you did. So maybe you built or increased client retention from 35% to 75% through, and you might describe a couple things you did. That's what they want to see under there.
And if you did that, great job on that. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And thank you, Karen, for sharing all this fantastic information. Our next career and finance presentation will take place Monday, June 22nd at 2 p.m. and is entitled When Income Drops. That June 22nd program will feature Denise Dias from the K-State Research and Extension Office. More career and finance programs are listed at jocolibrary.org/events/career-finance. Also, be sure to follow the library's Facebook page, facebook.com/jocolibrary, to receive notifications for additional live online Johnson County Library programming for all ages. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.